made up, right, for Belfast Entertainment. I can print it out hard copy. You can change the details on it. First of all, I'll hard copy them, PDF them, scan them back if you want. It's no problem. Or you just PDF them from Word and then load them up into the system. So we'll have a wee look at that one as well. This is a new one I haven't tried yet. So I'm not sure how that works, but I'm sure we could have a go at it. So I don't mind which one you have a go at, as long as it's text-based for the second part of your assignment, okay? And there's a whole lot of templates here now. They keep extending them as well, so that I suppose you could use that one maybe for like flyers, brochures and stuff that have text on them, and you scan the image and it reads the text off them. You know, any one you want, okay? You just play around with them. Okay, now, so this one you need to have text tagged and classified, right? And you need 10 of them to teach it, okay? And there's an example there, okay? I don't know where I got the word good out of there. Suggested tags. Oh, right, you have to go through it and highlight words that, you know, you would measure as being keywords for the data you're capturing. You know the way if you do a questionnaire and you ask people sort of their opinions, right? And then you tag certain words in their answers, and then it tries to measure, gives you some sort of measure rather than you having to read through them all. It's probably quite good, that one actually, wasn't it? Have enough text entries for each tag. Don't have tags with few text entries. So there's some guidance for that one if you want to try that one. You should all have a go at a couple of them and let me know which one you think is best. This one, you need the business card things, don't you? Sentence, sorry. That could be layout thing, you know. And you tell it where it is, and then it reads them all for you. Pulls out the important information. You tell it what information is where, and then it gathers it all for you and turns it into like a spreadsheet. It's quite handy, isn't it? And that one is like forms. Got there, like an invoice or something like that. So I think that's probably the most useful one, but it might be a good idea to play around with the other ones as well. Okay. While you're experimenting, right, use something that's relevant to Belfast entertainments, and then that means your experiment is really your real thing. Okay. So if you try it out and it works, you can go back and retrain it with a few more things. It means you don't have to make up the documents all over again. You're using documents that are going to work for your real assignment. Is that okay? So the list from last week, do you remember? It's still up there. And these ones you'd have to make the layout of the form similar so it knows where to look each time. But you can imagine the power of that in your business if you had loads of hard copies. Yeah. If it's able to read the data off it and turn it into a spreadsheet or a database. Quite handy, isn't it? Quite impressive, I think. Right? And there's loads of templates that are built up. Every time I come on here, there's a couple more. Feel free to grab one of them and try them as well. But probably better if you started off with a couple of these tutorials to see how they work. Okay. I know we've already done this one here. It worked quite well. And I'd love to try this one here. Maybe while you should do that, because I haven't tried this one yet, the prediction one. But try the tutorials. Yep.
Geoff, what exactly is the scope of what our assignment is going to be? Because there's so much content there within the AI build models, it's hard to really know what direction to even start with what we're playing around with, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, I put up a wee, I'm sure I'll just open it up here if I can find it. I put up a wee outline of the documentation that I thought would be useful for Belfast Entertainment's last week, but I'll show it to you again here. And the scope is wide and open. All right. Somebody's going to try to take a screen grab of this, and I'm going to open up this assignment, aren't you? It's okay, it doesn't matter. Don't care if you do. Let's see now. Those other ones are people's websites, but in case you wondered what I'm doing. Machine learning. Coursework. Sure, that doesn't matter if you see that. So we've got. Do you see? It loads up. That's our entertainments, right? It's really open-ended. Okay. Like we talked about, you do that right up range of applications. That's all the written part you can do later on. Okay.
Okay.
That's task 1. Right, see how open-ended that is. And I suggested the logos. Well, there's there, the logo. All right, so that's the first task. There's a bit of written work to do around it, okay? But literally anything you want, as long as it's the logo. And the second task is equally open-ended, right? So your documentation is coming through as a hard copy. Now, I don't want you to give me hard copies and all the rest. You can pretend hard copies that are PDF or something, or made into images, right? And the idea is that all these hard copies are coming into your business, right? And you want some sort of machine learning to process them. Otherwise, they're going to stuck on filing cabinets for years. And every time you want to do something, you have to type it in. So it's to get rid of the need for typing anything in, right? So that's the key part of it there, look. Okay, stick that up in chat. These are the documentations that come into your office on a daily basis. Why does that show up in a really funny color all the time? I can read it anyway, can't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if there's invoices coming in, my advice would be to make them all look, the same layout, so your machine learning can actually pick out the person has to pay the invoice, the amount and stuff like that, the date, and turn that into a spreadsheet. Can you imagine how handy that would be? Yep. Letters of interest. The idea there was like somebody's going to have their whole life history typed out. But if you want to read through all of that, that takes ages. But if you use one of the machine learning tools like this one here, or maybe not even, there's ones like Word Cloud. Actually, one of the Google ones is probably better for that one because there's this thing in Google called Word Cloud, right? And it takes all the text and finds the most prominent words in it and turns it into a small image that shows you basically what the whole thing's about. That in there might work for it, like, see it one there, that's just a preview version now. That in there too, like key talking points, try that one there maybe. So for somebody's resume, that one, or probably that one, yeah, best, wouldn't it? Or receipts maybe, you could argue that invoices stroke receipts, I don't mind if you do receipts, you get receipts for lots of things. Same idea, really, isn't it? Invoices, receipts process. All right. CVs would sort of have a regular layout, so you could actually run them through and get people's personal details. So you've got 100 applications for a job, and you can all of a sudden have a big spreadsheet where you can sort it out and go, right, who's got this, who's got that. If you are doing that one, I would recommend you use the same layout, right, for everybody. Okay, so that you can use form processing to actually turn the CVs into a mini database really quickly. All right. Promotional materials from sponsors. The idea there was I thought this stuff here could do it. It's big posters and stuff like that. But you want to turn the posters and get details from events. So you've got text recognition coming in, and then you can put your text into different formats and stuff. That one there was quite fun as well, wasn't it? If you get reviews back from your customers or something. I didn't put it in written enough.
So is it that we're building a couple of different models to do a couple of different things, or is it
just
one model?
Just one. Pick one of them. Yeah.
All right, so we're just picking one and then seeing it through to hit all the tasks.
No, you're just picking one. You don't have to do all those tasks. Just pick one of
No,
those
no,
things
no.
there.
So whenever you had the task 1, task 2, it's one
Oh, yeah,
model
yeah.
writing about it to fulfill those criteria within that.
Here, I'll show you the task again. So there's no harm. I'm not released it yet, but you're gonna get it soon anyway, right? So task 1 was you're selecting a sponsor. You're making up a sponsor at Coca-Cola or something. Selecting a brand, right? And you're gonna describe how you would use machine learning. Basically describing the process. Okay.
Okay.
So that's your supervised machine learning model, right? Where you train the model, let it run, and then do a wee check at the end. That thing we talked about a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you improve the accuracy with adding more images in, etc., etc. Okay, doing different shapes of logos and stuff like that, different colors, all that sort of stuff, right? There's 10 points for you already. I've given you what applications you're going to use, right? So there's Microsoft, there's Teach Machine, there's Teachable Machine, there's a Kaggle one, there's other ones out there too. Do a bit of research and select the application you're going to use. Why did you select that application? What do you think's good about it? What think's not good about it? Etc. Etc. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then part C is actually doing it and showing me how you did it. Screen grabs, step by step, flow chart, whatever.
Grand.
You have to illustrate. I put the word illustrate in there. I thought for a long time with that word, what should I put in there? And I thought, I want to put the word illustrate in because then you could do screen grabs, you could do a flow chart, you could do like a data flow diagram. It's very open-ended, so you can show me how you did it, right? And then testing for part D, okay? That's all logo, that's all to do with the logo, okay? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Right. And that's 20, 50, that's 60 points. And the second task is all to do with text processing. Any one of those examples, right? And again, similar, select which one you're going to do. How would you go through the process of analyzing text? All the different steps involved, what you need to think about, what you don't need to think about. If you look at the little, what do you see us here? If you do that, that sort of gives you a good heads up as to, what you could write about there, isn't it? What not to do, what you should do. So sort of got a start there for you, haven't it? Yep. So it's, what are they, theirs is quite graphical. Yours doesn't have to be as graphical as that, but basically they're telling you the steps involved. That's what I want you to do for me. And you're telling me what you do, and then implement it, okay? And then test it. So it's twice over, but the first one is graphic and the second one's text. Pick one of them only.
Okay.
All right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense now. Sorry, I just didn't fully understand how what we were playing with our models on the Power Apps at the minute then was linking back to what we'd be doing for the assignment itself, but that clears it up. Thanks.
That's right. Now, I would advise you to try out a few of these.
Yeah.
See which one you like best before you decide which one you're doing. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So have a go at some of them and then see which one you think is going to be most impressive or work well for you or you like best even. Right. Is that okay? And then we'll release the assignment proper just after Halloween, but you'll have the bare bones we've done already. And take screenshots before your trial period expires. Okay? Because it's too late afterwards. Otherwise, you're going to have to go and use one of the other, machine learning applications. And there's loads of other ones out there, guys. What do you see this here? I'm going to get down a rabbit hole now here, but Google has, where's my Google Chrome gone? Oh, this is it. Google has loads of them as well, so they have. And every time I do this as a class, there's more. I can make a new Chrome sign in for this purpose, if I can remember. Oh, passwords, that could be tricky one, couldn't it? Show password, no. Yeah, you're all watching. Oh, God, right, like, okay. Turn on sync, nah, maybe not. I don't know what's that going to do. That could cause all sorts of things. So if I go to my What's the error there? Skip. Oh, I haven't finished setup. Hold on, that's what it is. So if we go to my waffle and go to, now they keep changing the layout of this as well, but more from Google. No, it's not that. If we go, then I'm going to open up a form here, right, just for fun. What? This is Kevin's fault because he asked. Oh, sorry. Obviously, that's not right. It's at Gmail. Right. And so much. This will blow your mind how many apps there is in Google. Right? And we'll do this after the Microsoft one's expired, right? So if I open up a form, I can add in add-ons. I haven't done this in a few weeks, so I might forget how to do it. Add-ons, here we go. All right, and these are only add-ons that tie into forms, right? But there's loads of AI stuff in here, right? Sometimes machine learning doesn't bring up just only connected forms. I need to go to the whole store. Let's still say connected forms. Works with forms. How do we get to the one that shows all of them, not just works with forms? Maybe I have to go back here. The problem is, I used to be able to get to, but then you get to the whole marketplace here. Ah, okay, maybe that'll work. Right, and there's quite a few, isn't there? In fact, there's far more than a few weeks ago when I was last showing somebody else. So yeah, so we'll play around with some of them as well. But if we focus on the Microsoft ones first of all, and before they expire, right? There's just too many of them. There's like, as you can see. I've played around with a few of these, and even as I scroll down, I haven't opened up any of these yet. The couple I have used aren't even there. But the Google Chrome plugin for Word Cloud is really good. You put in a huge essay, maybe about 60 pages long, and it does an analysis of what you talked about in the essay and brings up, and then the graphic and the top words are more emphasized, and you can actually see what the whole essay is about in one glance. Right? Things like that. That's for spreadsheets mainly, isn't it? Twitter and text messages. Sentiment analysis, that's the same one as Microsoft, or that new one they've launched, yeah. And that's the forms, that's the Microsoft Forms one basically, isn't it? Spreadsheets. And it's just endless. Now, some of these you have to sign into, and some of them are not free. So before we do that, someday I'll have to try out a few of them. It usually takes me a few hours to try a few of these out. Because sometimes you go into them, you try them, and then you have to sign up or pay or something daft, and it doesn't quite work. And some of them are beta versions, so they don't work at all. But just to show you a flavor of it, all right? So it's not just those Azure ones, there's loads of ones out there, okay? And there's other free ones as well, I'm sure, that I haven't come across. But the Google suite of apps is massive, right? And I'm sure if you do AI, there'll be more stuff as well. Look, pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? There's too many of them, actually. You really would take forever trying to work it out. Some of them are very, very basic, and some of them just don't really do anything useful, but there's all the good ones as well. All right, guys, so does that make sense? Got a bit sidetracked there, but you'll see just a wee taster of what else you can do.
There's a lot of stuff there.
There is, isn't it? Oh, a huge amount of stuff, like, you know. So we'll start off with we'll play around the Microsoft ones over the next couple of weeks, because the trial period will expire, and I'll show you some of the Google ones. But really, you don't need to use them, but it's just interesting to see some of them working. I haven't worked through them all yet, so there's a whole big menu there. It works with sheets, works with documents and stuff, you know. So forms and all the rest of it. So okay, but I've tried a few of them out. The word cloud one is really good. I've used it before for other classes, but I haven't tried some of the new ones out yet. Okay, so take about, well, those lessons say 30 minutes, but it wouldn't take you guys 30 minutes. You can scan through them. 30 minutes, half an hour to do all of them maybe, and then we'll have a wee sort of discussion about which ones you're going to try, just to make sure that everybody's trying at least one of them. And then we'll have a bit of feedback as to what you think of it, and you know, your thoughts. Then you can pick one and run with it. And so we get that bit done today, maybe next week. Okay. And we do a wee bit of theory later on as well, just to break it up a bit. Happy enough?
Yep, that's grand.
Okay. Good. That we assessment schedules, that was, and that wasn't it first. Yeah. Just after we come back from holiday. And then the cloud development one is the week after or something, isn't it? Actually, if you know the half of it, Anna. Yeah. I'm going to stop the recording here just because